Hey everybody, welcome back to the Sonic Chronicle. My name is Owen, and today we are going to be looking at a project that I've been working on for a little while now, and we'll kind of talk about the results of it in a moment, but it's a project that I started a while back where I had this idea about an application that you could take a song that you had either on your computer or take a YouTube link and stick it into this, and then it would take that song and it would analyze it and it would provide you with the tablature for that song. It was a little bit of a pipe dream for me, I suppose, when I first conceived of this idea. And look, there are programs and platforms out there that do this already, I'm sure. But for me, I kind of had this idea about it, but I'm not a coder, right? I don't have the technical skills for it. Sure, I've done a little bit here and there. I've done some SQL and some HTML back in the day. But I'm not a coder. I don't know how to go about starting to do this. Enter AI, right? So this is, I suppose, a fairly controversial part of this whole process, right? That I had to go to AI in order to do this. And look, I'm not the biggest fan of AI in the world, particularly when it comes to the music industry. I think that AI is a bit of a blight when it comes to the arts. That there's a lot of controversial stuff out there when it comes to writing and authorship, when it comes to music and the ownership of music. There's an awful lot of stolen content out there. People who have, like, massive corporations like Facebook and Meta, who have, Meta, I suppose, who have trained their own LLM on thousands and thousands of stolen authors' work is crazy, and the fact that they've been able to do that with little to no repercussion, from what I understand, is absolutely bizarre. So I'm going into this knowing all of those things, right? Never mind, I suppose, the environmental aspects of this and how it is entirely massively draining for our natural resources and for water, the massive amounts of water that it uses. All of that, right? I'm very much aware of all of that. So that brings me to the app itself, right? So when I had this idea, I went to ChatGPT and I popped in the idea of it, and I basically said, look, I want to create this application where you can input audio or input a YouTube video, and it'll provide you with tablature for it. And it got cracking, right? Now, it took a little bit of time for me to be able to get to a model that actually ran, first of all, that even opened with a GUI. But before long, I had a working prototype. Well, a prototype that opened. And when it opened, it looked a little something like this. Okay, so, well, maybe a little bit cruder, right? It didn't have this YouTube URL. It had the browse audio file button, but I didn't think it had the link in there, or the space in there. So it looked a little bit cruder than this. This is the current iteration. So I went back and forth with ChatGPT. There were a lot of bugs that had to be worked out. You would have a version of it, and it would have to go back and fix it, and you'd provide it with the error message, and it would go, "Oh, I'll fix that," and then it would fix it, and then you would try and run something, and then it would break somewhere else, and then you'd have to go back and get the new version. It would have broken that original thing again. So yeah, it's artificial intelligence, certainly. When I say that this has been a long time in the making, this has been a long time in the making. So this is what we currently have, right? We have YouTube URL, which is optional, or we can browse for an audio file. Now, what I might do is I might use a song that I have written, right? Or a song that I have covered or something like that, so that I know it inside out, right? And I know what the details of it are. So I'm going to select browse audio file. I'm going to select my song from my priorities IP. We've got the file location here, okay? So we click on generate tablature. We get this message up here that it's pre-processing the audio, and that is so that the audio is, before it goes off to basic pitch, which is a Spotify plugin of all things, to kind of map the different notes. It does a pre-processing process so that it can try and be that little bit more accurate when it sends the information to basic pitch. At least that is my understanding. Now, I have a command prompt over here on my other monitor that shows me what's going on in the back end while this is going on. So while it's not responding, it is actually still working away over here on the other monitor. Okay, on the back end, I can see that it's working away, and it's going to produce a file called pre-processing rgyaek9f.wav, which is catchy, right? It's created the MIDI, it's saved it to the appropriate file, and once it has saved off that MIDI file, it is then going to go through it and analyze it. And as you can see over here, it has saved the tab to this particular location, to this basic pitch output folder, okay, .txt. Now, this should be a representation of what it looks like, right? Now, obviously, we don't have a ton of space here, so everything's all smushed up together, but it's not great that these 4 strings have nothing on them. That is not good. So if we pop open our folder, that location, which I have over here on my other monitor, and I'm going to bring it over here, we have the basic pitch output folder. We've got 2 files there now. We have the WAV file that it used to generate off of, and we have the text file. So let's have a listen to the WAV file. Let's listen to the output. So this is what it thinks that song sounds like. That is, like, you can hear a lot of the right things in there for that particular song, but let's open up the actual song here, and we will see if it's anything similar. Okay, so here is the original. This is what the original sounds like. So yeah, you can hear elements there, right, of the actual song in there. That, those arpeggios are in there. The chords are right, I think. It sounds like a rough approximation, although there are a lot of ghost notes in there, which is something that the next iteration of this app, if I continue to develop it, should eliminate. But it's a rough approximation, and you can hear that bass line in the background there on the MIDI track as well. So there's good there, right? There's stuff there that is identifiable within this particular output. The tablature, on the other hand, is a different story. So when it comes to the tablature, this is what it looks like, right? So the output that we had there in the app itself had nothing on the first 4 strings, whereas this has nothing on the bottom 4. Right now, maybe it's probably inverted, this particular output, but this is what I wanted the output to look like. I wanted it to be similar to this. And what it seems to have done is it seems to have output everything at an octave and a half up, by the looks of things. No, more than an octave and a half. Yeah, definitely more than an octave and a half up. But maybe an octave and like 3/4 or something up, because I can guarantee you, I don't think I have a guitar that has 24 frets, right? So I'm not playing it at the 20th to the 24th fret, And also the spacing is a bit of an issue here. I've tried to, get it to output across multiple strings, and I've tried to get it to output, in a standardized format, but it's having trouble with it. So I spent quite a bit of time getting it to the output of the MIDI. That was tough to do. Again, it's using a Spotify plugin called Basic Pitch on Python 3.9, I believe, because I had awful trouble trying to get it to run on 3.13, and there wasn't a version of it out there, so I had to uninstall it, and then I had to install the correct version of Basic Pitch, because the the up-to-date version of that wouldn't run on 3.9. Yeah, it was this whole thing. It's not a great output because it is all across 2 strings. So the question kind of becomes here, why am I showing you this application that doesn't work? Well, I suppose in some ways I'm showing you this to basically say, look, AI isn't fantastic. It's not all it's cracked up to be. Like, sure, like this is something that's outside of my skill set, but I would probably rather learn how to code rather than rely on AI and go back and forth and debugging all of the issues that it has created for itself over time. It would probably be, a more functional experience for me, more useful for me in the long run, rather than going, hey, you've broken this again, can you fix it please? However, I suppose it's interesting enough that I was able to get it to this point, right? That I was able to generate a MIDI file that is a rough approximation of the bass file, the audio track, and then get it to output tablature. Like, I kind of wanted to use this as a tool that people, like a learning tool, right? Which I suppose is what I want for the channel overall, that people can visit it and come away from it having learned something, which is, that's the goal overall. Actually, let's try the YouTube version. Let's see if this outputs something different. Let's see here. But yeah, I wanted to use this. Oh, beautiful. Bad request. Songs tab log, beautiful. So the YouTube one doesn't work. I didn't even know that. I hadn't even tested it. I wanted this to be a learning tool that you could like stick something into this. It would give you tablature that is good enough for you to be able to play along with the song effectively. But realistically, you should just be using your ear. You should learn by ear. That is the actual tool, right? That is actually developing your skill, right, on the instrument. This is all well and good, and as I say, there are applications out there. There's Songster. There's all kinds of things out there that you can use to learn songs. But I would encourage you to, not take this kind of, I say, easy way out while you are learning. Maybe it's a good tool to have, but eventually stop using this kind of thing as a crutch, and just learn to use your ear. Because I've spent a lot of time over the past couple of years developing my ear and learning how to use it more and more, as you will have seen on this channel, in fact. When I kind of sit down and try to learn songs on the fly on some of my videos, it's a skill that I've developed and I've grown to the point where I'm willing to sit on camera and do it on camera. I would encourage you to do that same thing. So I don't really know what the point of this is. AI is bad, yeah, kind of, but also use your skills, right? And if I were doing this again, I would probably learn to code. In fact, I might go off and learn to code a bit so that I can maybe take this to the next level if I want to do without using the process of AI. As I mentioned earlier, is dubious at best. But anyway, that's where we are going to leave this video, folks. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that you got something out of it. And if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of this kind of stuff in the future. And of course, leave me comments in the comment section below if you agree with anything here. Oh, and also what I might do is I might put my code into like a document and put it in the description of this video as well. If people want that, maybe I can do that. Leave me a comment in the comment section if you want me to do that, and I'll get that code populated there. But for now, though, that's where we're going to leave it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.